What a week for downtown Dallas. Mayor Eric Johnson tells us he wants to relocate City Hall because he says it's too costly to repair, and he wants to sell the land.
Yes to moving out of this building into another building, and yes to redeveloping this site.
Plus, the Dallas Mavericks and Dallas Stars announced they're likely moving out of Victory Park. The Mavs may move to far north Dallas, while the Stars may move up the tollway to Plano. The mayor says nothing is final and that they're trying to keep the Stars at the American Airlines Center.
That is still a goal of mine, for them to continue to be at the American Airlines Center.
Good morning, I'm Jack Fink, and welcome to Eye on Politics. Downtown Dallas is at a crossroads. Will lost opportunities in the urban core hurt Dallas for decades, or can city leaders find a way to spark growth and help downtown bounce back? Is relocating Dallas City Hall a key solution? Mayor Eric Johnson said he believes that answer is yes. And this coming Wednesday, the Dallas City Council will consider pursuing opportunities to redevelop the City Hall site or repair the building in a phased strategy. The mayor spoke with me exclusively last Thursday. Johnson told me he believes it's just too expensive for the city and taxpayers to repair City Hall, the nearly 50-year-old building designed by renowned architect I.M. Pei. The day before our interview, the city released new estimates on how much it would cost to fix and update City Hall, ranging from more than $531 million to nearly $611 million. This covered only major repairs over a 6 to 10 year period. Prior estimates were over $1 billion over a 20-year period that included more than just repairs. The mayor said it's cheaper to move into another building in downtown.
There are alternatives in the market, in the Central Business District and around the Central Business District, where we could actually locate City Hall and it would cost us less money than repairing this place. In other words, we could actually save the taxpayers of Dallas significant money by actually moving out of this building. The numbers have now been proven multiple times to be accurate, and it would be very costly to stay. And so I would be in favor, for sure, of us saving the taxpayers considerable money by leaving this obsolete building. That would make this location available for development, which I would also support, because I believe that would be a very, very big part of the future of downtown and its revitalization. I think that's a very key element to that revitalization. So in case people are trying to keep track, yes to moving out of this building into another building, and yes to redeveloping this site.
As far as the council, do you have 8 votes to move on from this place?
I can't tell you how many votes we have, and what people. I don't really do that, but I have. Here's what I believe. I believe that I am not alone, especially not now. And maybe this week made a difference. I don't know, but I'm confident that we have enough voices around here now to appreciate exactly what's at stake here for downtown.
Next steps?
I mean, Jack, I think that the next step is we need to move quickly toward making a decision as a council on whether or not we are going to leave this building. We've heard enough between what we've heard in public in terms of the costs associated with being here and what we've heard in executive session. I think we're now ready to move to an actual decision. That's what we need to do, and we need to do it quickly.
Last week began with the Dallas Mavericks announcing that they are likely moving out of Victory Park near downtown, but staying in Dallas and heading to the old Valley View Mall site along the LBJ 635 freeway at Preston Road and near the Dallas North Tollway in far north Dallas, where they will build a new arena, plus restaurants, stores, and residential areas. And then on Tuesday, the Dallas Stars announced that they're also likely moving out of Victory Park near downtown. But unlike the Mavs, they intend to leave the city and move up to Plano to build a new arena, restaurants, residential, and retail at the Willow Bend Mall site. Mayor Johnson insisted these are not done deals, and he revealed that the city is trying to keep the Stars at the American Airlines Center past 2031 when its lease expires.
The Valley View site that the Mavericks are looking at, it's in Dallas. That's a good thing. Let's start with that. But as far as the Stars are concerned, That negotiation, from my understanding, that is a letter of intent. It's not a final deal. It's certainly a step, but it's not a final step. And the Mavericks arrangement at Valley View is an option. And so it's not a final deal either. And so I think all of these conversations are dynamic and are going to continue. And we are going to continue. The city manager and I have talked extensively about this. She is still in regular daily contact, basically, with both teams about options with respect to the Stars in particular to stay at the American Airlines Center. That is still a goal of mine, for them to continue to be at the American Airlines Center.
But aren't the chances of them staying really like slim to none at this point?
I can't say that. I can't speak for them.
I mean, come on,
that.
right?
No, I can't say that. But what I will tell you is this: these are business decisions, and they're going to be made for business reasons. I can't speak for them, but here's what I can tell you: the sports business has definitely changed over the years, and these deals are a lot more complicated than they used to be. This isn't a simple landlord-tenant contract with negotiating concession shares and parking and rent, and that's it. These are now deals that are complicated because a lot of these sports teams now, their ownership wants to do more than just own a sports team. They want to be in the real estate business, or the hotel business, or the restaurant business. They want to own real estate, and they want to control areas beyond the arena, and they want to get involved in more things. It's definitely a priority. We definitely want our sports teams to play here, but these negotiations are complicated. So I would tell everyone to let us continue to work.
You said at the council meeting yesterday, quote, "The knives are out for our city. The knives are out for Dallas. I wasn't crying wolf. The wolf is at the door, and the wolf is not in this room. The wolf is up the tollway." But yesterday, some residents blamed you and other city leaders for this happening. Are they right?
Well, I didn't hear any blame directed directly at me or directly at the city. I think there's a frustration that there doesn't seem to. There was a string of news this past week that I think rightfully has people concerned. But the truth of the matter is certainly the city manager and I know others, have been paying attention and focused on this issue of how we revitalize downtown for a while. And so I think, the resident maybe that you're thinking of, or some of the folks you heard at the meeting, were really downtown residents who are wondering, is the city even focused and trying to keep these teams in the urban core and trying to revitalize downtown? The answer is absolutely we are. Absolutely we are. But I do think that there are folks on the Dallas City Council who needed this week's string of news stories to understand something that I've understood for a while, which is we are in a competition. This is serious. And that I've been saying for years, and that's what I meant when I said, the wolf is at the door, is that this wasn't, I wasn't being rhetorical when I was saying all these years that we have municipalities surrounding our city who would like the assets that are in Dallas. They are playing hardball up in Plano with that letter of intent. And so I hope that the city council members who have not believed up to now that we are in a serious competition understand that. And that we need to, as a council, and this is what I meant when I said the wolf is not in this room, we've got to stop questioning each other's motives and integrity at the Horseshoe.
Has there been a concrete offer for them to stay in downtown Dallas, both teams?
I know this. Deal terms are being negotiated with the city manager and the leadership of both of those teams. And I can't tell you exactly where they are in those negotiations because that's not something that we actually can talk about publicly, but I will tell you this. There are active negotiations occurring between the both parties and their authorized negotiators, if you will.
So, 4 sites downtown to keep them both in downtown?
Well, with the Stars, our focus has been on the American Airlines Center. And with the Mavericks, by their own statement up until recently, they have been looking at a couple of sites in Dallas. And so I can tell you that the Mavericks and the Stars are in a little different situation. we, with respect to the Mavericks, Valley View is in Dallas. Valley View is a viable option for them, obviously, which is why they're pursuing it. But I personally believe that both of our sports teams potentially have a future in the urban core, and we are going to continue to explore those options until they are not options anymore.
Was there no way to try to put out an all-points bulletin for developers in the city of Dallas, downtown, whatever, to come up, get all your developers, and come up with something, having a summit of sorts to try to find space for both teams? Well,
there's only so much space, I guess, in what we would consider the urban core, right in downtown, to do something like that. Downtown Dallas is pretty built out, and that's another dynamic of this that is just a reality. Again, so another theme here would be having to deal with the business realities of the city of Dallas is an older and more mature city from a construction standpoint, a lot more built out. And what you have in the suburbs in a lot of places is really a blank canvas to work from.
Monday evening, the Plano City Council will vote on the agreement with the Stars to build their new arena. While the Stars and Mavs look to be leaving the Dallas urban core, they're not the only ones. Also last week, Neiman Marcus announced it's closing its downtown store this September for good, after 118 years of having a store in downtown. The mayor told me this decision was beyond the city's control.
Their Dallas store downtown was not making money, and it hadn't made money for a while, and they made the decision coming out of their bankruptcy to close it. So again, that story impacts downtown, but it's not really a downtown story. It's a retail math story.
AT&T announced in January it's moving its headquarters out of downtown and also going to Plano, near the Legacy Development and the Dallas North Tollway. Dallas reportedly has the second highest office vacancy rate in a downtown in the U.S. Last week, during an unrelated news conference, Governor Abbott said it's time for a reboot.
That says something when a city has that high of a level of a vacancy rate. It means that you're not creating the type of environment that's conducive for businesses to locate there. And so it's clear that the city of Dallas still has the need for further course correction.
Mayor Johnson told me he would like to see the city create an entertainment district to attract people 24/7 that would connect the new convention center being built with the Farmers Market, the Arts District, and Clyde Warren Park. From the future of downtown Dallas to the future of the Texas delegation in Washington, D.C. Ken Paxton visits Washington while James Talarico campaigns in North Texas and talks about Texas barbecue. Our focus on the U.S. Senate race when Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas returns. Welcome back to Eye on Politics. We are keeping an eye on the Texas Senate seat. Republican Ken Paxton and Democrat James Talarico kept up their attacks against each other. Paxton visited Washington, D.C., where he met with Senate Republican leaders who had backed the four-term incumbent, Senator John Cornyn. But after Paxton's blowout win, Senate Republican leaders embraced the Attorney General and will help him raise money. On Tuesday night, Paxton met with President Trump in the Oval Office. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick was also there. President Trump has said he will campaign with Paxton in Texas. The Attorney General and his wife, State Senator Angela Paxton of McKinney, have agreed to cancel their divorce trial that was supposed to start later this month. Mrs. Paxton filed for divorce last July, saying it was on, quote, biblical grounds. In a statement, Mr. Paxton's attorneys said, quote, the parties have made substantial progress toward an amicable resolution of all issues and remain engaged in productive discussions. We are optimistic that a final agreement will be reached in the near future. For the first time since the election, Senator Cornyn returned to Washington, and he stood his ground when asked if he stands by his criticisms of Paxton during the hard-fought campaign.
Yes.
You do?
Yeah.
Do you think he's fit to serve here?
Well, I've said no, he's not. But again, he won the race fair and square. It's really, if you run for elections, you have to learn to trust the voters and their judgment. But I don't think the story is over. I think it's just beginning. We'll see what happens in November.
Democrat James Talarico has been hitting the campaign trail, and he made his final stop of a 5-city tour in Plano in Collin County, Paxton's home base. His campaign said nearly 4,000 people showed up at the Plano Center on Monday night. Talarico criticized Paxton's ethics.
Ken Paxton has escaped accountability, but accountability is coming on November 3rd. Ken Paxton is everything that's wrong with this broken system. He does not serve us. He serves himself.
And in southern Dallas on Tuesday, Talarico visited Smokey Joe's Barbecue, where he ate some Texas barbecue with the owner and Dallas State Senator Royce West. Talarico blamed the rising cost of beef on President Trump's tariffs and said he would end the tariffs and suspend the tax on diesel fuel to help lower costs. His stop here comes as he has sought to distance himself from past comments on video, highlighted by Paxton and other Republicans, in which he said people should eat less meat because of climate change, and that his previous campaign was non-meat and promoting vegan products. I asked Talarico about this. You've pushed back very hard. You wanted us to see you eat barbecue inside. You posted that photo several weeks ago. You're out here holding this news conference. Did they get under your skin a little bit on this? When you made those comments years ago about having a non-meat campaign and you were promoting vegan products, what was going through your mind? Why was that important to you at that point?
Well, the reason we're here is because we want to use some of the humorous back and forth on the campaign trail about veganism to make a serious point about rising food prices, particularly the rising price of beef. And the fact that we've got iconic Texas barbecue joints that are at risk of closing because of these crazy tariffs, because of the Argentinian bailout that undercut Texas cattle ranchers. We want to draw real spotlight to these issues.
I wanted to follow up real quick about, your comments back in 2022 or whenever it was that started all this.
Well, like I said, I've been in public service now for 4 terms. I have sometimes missed the mark with statements that I've made, but I think with the rising price of beef, we may all be forced to be vegans.
Talarico has proven to be quite a big fundraiser. He announced that he raised $3 million in the first 24-hour period after Paxton defeated Cornyn in the Republican runoff. Governor Greg Abbott recently brushed that aside.
We saw it when Beto ran for Senate. We saw it when Beto ran against me for governor. And the Democrats get all excited. But this is the year when Texas is going to turn blue, but it never pans out. And there's a reason why it doesn't pan out. And that's because of the policies and positions that have been taken by these candidates.
During Talarico's event in Plano, the Democratic nominee for governor, Gina Hinojosa, also addressed the crowd. She discussed her plan to address health care.
I will guarantee health care to every single Texas child. And rein in the health insurance companies that charge us more but make it harder to see the doctors that we need and get the medication that we need.
Hinojosa is running her first campaign ads that will stream during the NBA Finals. Up next, some big changes may soon be coming for Social Security recipients. Eye on Politics on CBS News Texas. We'll be right back. The New World screwworm, a flesh-eating parasite, has popped up in South Texas for the first time in our nation in more than 50 years. The screwworm isn't a worm at all. It's actually a fly, and if it isn't contained, it could impact livestock and the already record-high cost of beef. State Representative Don McLaughlin told us that 2 days before the announcement from the federal government, he had heard reports that the screwworm was already in Texas.
The good thing about cattle, we can round them up and get them in a pen and treat them and do it. The problem is with wildlife, we don't have a way of capturing wildlife and bringing them to a pen to do that.
Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins told a House committee last Thursday that the screwworm does not present a threat to the nation's food supply. She is expected to be in South Texas later this week. Millions of Americans who depend on Social Security could soon see steep cuts in their monthly checks. Sarah Jenkins has the brief.
A new analysis from the Committee for a Responsible Federal Budget estimates that benefits could be reduced by an average loss of roughly $500 a month if the program's retirement trust fund becomes insolvent by the end of 2032. In Texas, that cut would average $489. The trust fund helps bridge the gap when Social Security pays out more in benefits than it collects in revenue, a shortfall driven by retiring baby boomers and a growing number of recipients. Once the fund is depleted, benefits wouldn't stop, but they would be automatically reduced unless Congress acts. Experts warn the impact would be widespread, affecting up to nearly a quarter of the population in some states. For millions of retirees who rely on Social Security for most or all of their income, the stakes are high and the clock is ticking. For The Brief, I'm Sarah Jenkins.
All right, thank you so much, Sarah. And remember, you can watch our full interview with Dallas Mayor Eric Johnson on our CBS Texas YouTube page. While you're there, check out the Eye on Politics playlist and hit the subscribe button. And that's all for Eye on Politics today. I'm Jack Fink. I am listening, and we are listening to you at CBS News Texas. Thanks for watching, and from all of us here, have a great Sunday.